My name is Heather Riddle. I'm Vice President for Advancement here at Augsburg College. I'd like to welcome you to our campus for our Mayor's Challenge in support of the Urban Debate League. And I want to thank everyone that's here as a sponsor and a guest, our students, and our VIP panel. If we could give everybody a round of applause. My role here is to introduce Matt Intenza. He is a former high school debater. He currently serves on the Board of Regents for Augsburg College. He's a founder and fellow at Minnesota 2020 and is a senior advisor on energy and the economy to Minnesota's Governor Dayton. Please welcome Matt Intenza.
Well, good morning. First of all, I want to welcome everyone on behalf of the Board of Regents to Augsburg College. Augsburg has had a great link with the Urban Debate League, and for those of us who were involved with the Urban Debate League when it was being founded, when Karen Guerin and others began to put it together, we came to Augsburg College and asked Augsburg if they would be willing to serve first as our fiscal agent, and then Augsburg was so committed to the mission of the Urban Debate League and to the work that Augsburg does, believing that their mission is to serve this entire community and the city, that they asked to then make the Urban Debate League a part of Augsburg. And we're so pleased here at Augsburg College to know that debate and the mission that all of us who have a history in debate and a history in education and the belief that these young students who are part of the St. Paul and Minneapolis public schools have for our future, that it is now embedded here at Augsburg College. The Minnesota Urban Debate League is a great representation of that, an outreach program that now serves over 600 young people in 32 partner schools here in Minneapolis and St. Paul. And before we do the introductions of our panel, I want to thank the sponsors who have helped make this event possible. That includes the Deluxe Corporation, Institutional Advancement, Lockridge, Grindle, and Noun, Microsoft, the Minnesota Communications Department and the U of M debate team, Nyland Johnson Lewis, Olip and Associates, Oppenheimer, Wolf and Donnelly, United Health Group, Bev Benson, Scott Benson, who by the way was in speech and debate about the same time I was, George Dow, Jesse Einek, Jerry and Sandy Eiler, the Kotry family, Meg Luger Nikolai and Pete Nikolai, and by the way, Pete coached my kids in high school debate at St. Paul Central, Mark Rattersdorf, and of course our very own Heather Riddle here from Augsburg College. I would also like to thank our funding partners who are here today, the Minnesota Women's Foundation, the Polad Family Foundation, and Social Venture Partners. And finally, a big thank you to the members of the Minneapolis Public Schools and the St. Paul Public Schools, to the members of the district staff, and in particular the public officials and school board officials. I'm seeing Kim Ellison. I know there's got to be other school board officials who are here too, but Kim and I are good friends going back to when our kids were knee-high and or smaller than knee-high, and as families we have supported debate all the way through. Please join me in thanking our sponsors. It's my honor on behalf of the Board of Regents to introduce the president of Augsburg College and someone who has discovered that debate is riddled in every part of life around here, President Paul Pribenow.
Thank you, Matt. Well, it's my great pleasure to add my welcome to all of you. Welcome to Augsburg College, to our campus. It's a little quiet here. The students are all gone, but you add good life to our experience here during the month of May. And this great tradition now, the second annual Mayor's Challenge debate, celebrating the Urban Debate League and helping to raise important support for these students who benefit from this program in so many ways. I would like to say a special word of thanks to the staff and volunteer leadership that really make the Urban Debate League really happen. And they are a wonderful part of our community. As you heard Matt say, it's been wonderful to have them come into Augsburg and be a part of daily life here. But specifically, I want to mention Faculty Director Bob Grovin. Bob, won't you stand and be recognized? Let me get through all of them. There's Bob. So. Bob, as you know, is a member of our faculty in the communications department, is also our parliamentarian, so he actually helps me in those debates to move through those. I want to say a special word of thanks also to Executive Director Amy Cram-Helwich, who is actually not with us today. She's going to have some surgery tomorrow, so we have our thoughts with her today, but she is the driving force behind this, and we owe so much to her. And her program team, David Song, Mike Steffen, and Meyer Vang, who I would ask to stand and be recognized. There they are in the back. So. And I also want to thank the members of the Urban Debate League Advisory Board. Will all of those members please stand and be recognized? There we are. Great group. Thank you all. This morning we're going to hear from a talented group of young people who will present a debate on economic policy, specifically the United States economic engagement with Mexico through Nafta, a subject they've been researching and debating through the entire school year. So I'm going to introduce the panelists. From St. Paul, advocating that Nafta has been economically beneficial is, and I'm from my left here, Yassine Ahmed from Como Park High School, who incidentally has been in the UDL since junior high and will be attending Augsburg this fall. So great. All right, fabulous. Next to Yassine is Michelle Matthias, who is a sophomore from Central High School. And then from Minneapolis, advocating that NAFTA has done more harm than good, are Ellen DeMitt, a junior at Washburn High School, and Shamar Dennis, a junior at Roosevelt High School. To adjudicate this debate, we are very fortunate to have the support of our two mayors from the Twin Cities and the state's Commerce Commissioner. Mayor Chris Coleman took office as St. Paul's mayor in 2005 after several years as a city council member and a community and neighborhood leader. Mayor Coleman has set forth initiatives to make St. Paul the most livable city in America, and his priorities include working to close the achievement gap, creating sustainable and responsible budgets, and investing in the infrastructure of St. Paul. And we're all excited about June 14th and the opening of that green line for both of our cities. So thanks, Mayor Coleman. Mayor Betsy Hodges took office just this past January, winning the first open seat for mayor in 2 decades in the 2013 mayoral election. She was elected to be Minneapolis' mayor on a clear message of growing a great city, continuing to lead it well, and eliminating the many gaps in jobs, income, housing, health, and education that separate people from each other. It's been a great pleasure to get to know Mayor Hodges. The last time we were together, we sat on a stage with the Dalai Lama, so this is fabulous. We spent lots of good time together, so thank you, Mayor Hodges. And Mike Rothman was appointed as Commissioner of the Minnesota Department of Commerce on January 12, 2011 by Governor Mark Dayton. He brings a distinguished record of consumer protection to the Department of Commerce and extensive public and private sector experience on insurance and financial service-related issues. Commissioner Rothman was also a founding member of the Minnesota Urban Debate League Advisory Board. Please join me in welcoming our third guest judge, Commissioner Michael Rothman. And now I turn it over to our students to begin the debate.
Hello, my name is Yassine Ahmed. I'd like to begin by thanking the Minnesota Urban Debate League, Augsburg College, both Mayor Coleman and Mayor Hodges, Commissioner Rothman, and everyone in the audience. My partner, Michelle Matthias, and I represent St. Paul and Como Park and Central High Schools. We stand with the resolution and will argue that NAFTA has been economically beneficial to Mexico, the U.S., and the state of Minnesota. First, NAFTA has led to a direct increase in jobs in Minnesota. A research study done by Trade Benefits Minnesota indicates that international trade supports more than 750,000 jobs, more than 20% of all jobs in Minnesota. Foreign-owned companies currently employ more than 90,000 Minnesotans. Many of these jobs are within growing sectors such as technology and science. Minnesota jobs tied to trade have doubled since 1992, in large part because of NAFTA. Second, NAFTA helps businesses. This benefits big and small corporations. For these smaller corporations, they end up with larger profit margins from the lower cost of production of goods produced by Minnesotan companies, such as the delicious treats like salted nut rolls and Fresh Bar, and the delicious and ever useful Scotch tape from 3M. This allows them to bring the savings to the consumer by lowering prices and allowing Minnesotan families to stretch their paychecks that much further. Third, when exports to Mexico are increased through free trade, Mexican people benefit. A report done by the Council on Foreign Affairs indicates that the quality of life for the average Mexican citizen has increased. Through free trade, prices for goods such as food and clothing have dropped significantly, while income has increased. For many Mexican consumers, prices for household goods have dropped by half. This means that the quality of life and affordability of goods to Mexican households have increased, especially considering the increase in per capita income since 1992. In addition, Mexico's GDP and exports have increased significantly since 1992. The Council on Foreign Affairs, Foreign Relations reports that Mexican workers in the car manufacturing and aeronautics sectors of northern Mexico have benefited from the treaty and helped expand the country's manufacturing base. I am now open for cross-examination.
So you talk about how Nafta led to 750,000 jobs within Minnesota. What sectors do the jobs fall in? Are there a variety of sectors, or do they just fall into one sector?
All right, so my evidence from the from the Trade Helps Minnesota indicates that these are a variety of sectors that the jobs are growing in, right? Corporations like 3M and Cargill have been expanding because of the increased profit margins because of lower costs of production. That means that they're able to hire more people.
Okay. So I noticed how you talked about how Nafta is lowering the cost of producing goods within Minnesota companies. But isn't this because they're outsourcing to factories within Mexico?
Well, in order for these corporations to be profitable, they have to have wider profits margin. This allows these corporations to hire more people locally. For example, like I said, Cargill and 3M both have a presence in Mexico, but they also hire thousands of people here locally and throughout the nation.
All right. And my final question is, you talked about how Mexico's economy and quality of life has gone up since NAFTA has been put into place in 1992. But wouldn't you expect that? Wouldn't you expect this anyway from a country with an industrialized economy?
All right, so Mexico's GDP and growth is increasing right now, but that's only because of NAFTA, which has created favorable conditions for trade liberalization. And without NAFTA, this wouldn't be possible. There is an increase connections between Mexico and the United States through NAFTA. That would the increase in both our GDPs wouldn't be possible without it.
Yeah, in my cross-sects.
Hello. My name is Ellen Dimmitt. I'd like to begin by thanking the Minnesota Urban Debate League, Augsburg College, both Mayor Coleman and Mayor Hodges, Commissioner Rothman, and everyone in the audience. My partner, Shamar Dennis, and I represent Minneapolis Public Schools and Washburn and Roosevelt High Schools. We negate the resolution and will argue that NAFTA has had a negative economic impact for Mexico, the United States, and the state of Minnesota specifically. You don't need to look far from home to see the negative effects of the North Atlantic Free Trade Agreement. According to a report by Minnesota Public Radio, the payout of American sugar beet farmers has dropped from a bountiful $68 per ton to a mere $38 as a result of the sudden glut of sugar in the world market. This market surplus of sugar is being generated by Mexico under NAFTA. When Minnesota farmers are forced to drive sugar prices down substantially to compete, the majority of them will go out of business, and thousands of small farms will be lost, in addition to the 13,700 jobs that Minnesota has already lost as a result of Nafta, according to CBS News. Just think, that's 171,000 small and family farms that have gone under in the past 20 years, and many more to come if we continue to permit this not-so-fair trade. In addition to negatively affecting domestic farmers, Nafta is also terrible for those working south of the border. An estimated 2.3 million Mexican people have left their jobs in agriculture, according to Timothy Wise, who carried out a comparison of farm product prices in the two countries. This flood of rural workers is a result of Mexico being flooded with agricultural imports exported at prices far below production costs under Nafta. Unfortunately, the agricultural dumping under the trade agreement cuts both ways. Finally, there is one big reason that the entire world should stand against Nafta. The environmental impacts of the agreement have been devastating. A major provision in Nafta was to conserve and protect the environment, yet upon closer examination, it is clear that quite the opposite has taken place, writes a cultural diplomacy report on the effects of Nafta. Free trade has only served as a gateway for profit-driven corporations to exploit the system and the Earth's resources. Since Mexico's opening of their economy in 1985, pollution levels have skyrocketed. Rural soil eroded by 89%, municipal solid waste increased by 108%, water pollution increased by 29%, and urban air pollution increased by 97%. Additionally, the financial benefits of trade are outweighed heavily by the damage that it does to the environment in dollars, with costs and damage at more than 3 times Mexico's economic growth figures. This blatant disregard for our planet cannot be tolerated if we wish to keep the environment habitable for future generations. I will conclude here with a quote from Representative Phil English of the U.S. House of Representatives, who said, quote, "Anyone taking an objective look at recent experience in Mexico would have to conclude that Nafta is not bringing up any standards of living in the 3 countries involved." Thank you. I'm now open for cross-examination.
You stated that 13,700 jobs were lost in Minnesota. Can you tell me specifically which sectors the job losses were in?
Sure. The jobs lost were primarily in the manufacturing sector, specifically jobs working to construct industrial farm technology. And the jobs that were reallocated, the few that were reallocated, were moved to the service industry, where the workers are now being paid 4/5 of their previous wages to do jobs that they are far overqualified for.
How do we know that Nafta alone is responsible for these job losses?
Good question. Well, there's a direct correlation between the spike in job losses that we've seen and the enactment of Nafta and opening of Mexico's market. There were no large changes in legislation that occurred at the same time Nafta is enacted that could have been alternative causes to these spikes, so the only reasonable conclusion is that they were caused directly by Nafta.
All right. And finally, Nafta already has environmental protections in place, so why have these protections failed?
Right. The legislation in Nafta includes these environmental protections. The problem is that they're not being enforced by the Mexican government. Thus, corporations are allowed to, have unregulated consumption of our natural resources.
Thank you. This concludes my cross-examination.
Hello, my name is Shamar Dennis, and I will present the negative rebuttal arguing against Nafta. The affirmative brought up 3 main points about how Nafta is beneficial to not only the United States, but to Mexico and to Minnesota as well. First, the affirmative made a claim that Nafta increased the job growth in Minnesota. The affirmative did not talk about the farmers, the machinists, the factory workers, and other hard-working Minnesotans who are losing their jobs due to businesses outsourcing to other countries such as Mexico. According to Minnesota Fair Trade Coalition Director Josh Wise, Minnesota has lost about 14,000 jobs to Mexico in the last 2 decades. This is due to Nafta. The second point that the affirmative brought up was that Nafta was good for Minnesota businesses. According to Tim Kehoe, professor of economics at the second greatest school in the world, after Augsburg, of course, the University of Minnesota, NAFTA didn't increase business overall. It just shifted it towards Canada and Mexico. According to the Tia Lee, AFL-CIO policy director, almost all the benefits are going to the folks at the top. However, the middle class and the poor are left out of these benefits. The final point made by the Affirmative was that NAFTA was better for the Mexican economy. According to the Public Citizen, after nearly 2 decades of NAFTA, Mexico has grown a total of 23%. By comparison, from 1960 to 1980, Mexico's per capita income grew 150%. Ever since NAFTA had been put into place, Mexico has endured high poverty levels and increased level of economic income inequality. Because of its impacts upon workers in Minnesota and in Mexico, we stand against NAFTA in this debate. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Michelle Mathias, and I will present the affirmative rebuttal for NAFTA. First off, our opponent stated that sugar beet dumping is bad for Minnesota, but in fact, both sides have engaged in dumping, and NAFTA provides the opportunity for both sides to reach a diplomatic solution. Also, according to the Business Roundtable, NAFTA has sustained more than 755,000 jobs in Minnesota, including those for both large and small companies, factories, and jobs for farm workers. Second, our opponent said that NAFTA is bad for Mexico. However, according to the article from The Economist in 2014, NAFTA has made Mexico's economy more stable and less prone to sudden economic downturns. Also, NAFTA has expanded Mexico's manufacturing base. Jobs lost in the agricultural sector have been redistributed to increasingly industrial jobs as Mexico's economy advances because of NAFTA. This provides a dual benefit for displaced agricultural workers by expanding their job skills and providing access to higher income jobs. The negative side also argued that NAFTA is bad for the environment. However, according to the economist Doug Irwin from Dartmouth, NAFTA did not lead to a deterioration in Mexico's environment. Free trade in many instances may help. In addition, according to the American economist Stephen Kunitz, increasing growth in the economy leads to better environmental protection spending by governments. By promoting growth in Canada, the United States, and Mexico, NAFTA is providing the basis needed to help our environment. In the end, NAFTA has created many jobs in Minnesota, increased the GDP per capita in Mexico, stabilized the Mexican economy, and improved free trade relations between Mexico, the US, and Canada. Even considering the negative effects claimed by our opponents, overall, NAFTA has done more good than bad. Thank you.
All right, I'm Ellen from The Negative. This is the closing statement. In summary, the North Atlantic Free Trade Agreement has been nothing but bad news for workers in Minnesota, workers in Mexico, and the health of our environment. It has taken an immense toll on the lives of thousands of Minnesota sugar beet farmers, literally forcing them to choose between going into debt or leaving their farms and lives behind to search for other work. NAFTA has also flooded Mexico with agricultural imports due to the anti-competitive effect of the U.S. commodity subsidies, causing an estimated 2.3 million Mexican farmers to give up on agricultural farming due to facing an inability to compete with subsidized crops. Workers all across North America have faced losing their farms, their homes, and their livelihoods, all because of NAFTA. And not to be forgotten is the extreme environmental degradation that has resulted from the agreement, and the 10% degradation of Mexico's GDP that came with it. If NAFTA continues to function as it has been for the past 20 years, we can count on seeing a decrease in the quality of life here at home and in Mexico. For the reasons Shamar and I have outlined in our speeches, We urge you to vote negative. Thank you.
Hello. I'm presenting the closing statements for the affirmative. The negative brings up valid points about job loss. We must also compare the job loss highlighted by the negative with the 750,000 jobs that are created and supported by free trade and have been created since 1992. These are jobs which were brought into the state of Minnesota. We have to ask ourselves whether or not Nafta has been net beneficial. Now, this doesn't mean that we ignore the issues of job loss in the environment or dumping occurring on both sides. But the diplomatic channels created by Nafta means that we can come to a solution politically. So at the end of this debate, you must look at whether Nafta, a policy which decreases prices of goods on both sides and increases jobs and income of Mexicans, whether or not that's net beneficial to the U.S., the state of Minnesota, and Mexico. So I urge the council, the panel, to vote affirmative. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Dean Eiler. I'm a lawyer at Great Plant Moody and the chair of the advisory board for the Urban Debate League. While our judges are conferring and making their decision, I'd like to speak with you briefly about some information about the Urban Debate League, in particular about outcomes for our students. The Urban Debate League serves 600 students and growing in Minneapolis and St. Paul's middle and high schools. Over the last 5 years, we've had 100% on-time high school graduation, 99% acceptance to college, and we have documented that after just 1 year in debate, students have increased their reading comprehension by more than 3 grade levels. We know that debate helps students achieve academically. We also know that it teaches critical thinking skills and helps boost self-confidence. The Minneapolis and St. Paul public schools have seen the evidence of the program's success in many ways this past year, and we're grateful to St. Paul and their increase in funding for debate in all high schools, with the addition of Johnson and Gordon Parks next year. In addition, we're excited to announce that the Minneapolis public schools will be increasing their investment in debate to $300,000 to make sure the debate is offered in every high school, middle school, and K-8 school in the city. We also have some other exciting ventures here. We're going to be offering tournaments in Spanish and looking to pilot debate tournaments in Somali next year. So we try to continue reaching more and more students. We are profoundly grateful for the investment and the support of the local school districts, both the school districts. And please join me again in thanking the districts for their incredible support for the Urban Debate League and the students. And I'll go off script for a second and just say thank you to our students. You see, once again, they're the stars of the show. It's fun to have them at any kind of event. They do a wonderful job, and we really appreciate the preparation they put in for the debate today. Thank you. At this time, I would like to hand it off to our panel of judges who are, what's that? They're tabulating, I think. They're considering. They're thinking. It's good. The judges are putting in their effort as well. That's wonderful. What's that? Anybody got some good jokes? Yes. That is a wonderful contribution. Thank you. Who wants to go first?
All right, I'm Ellen again, and I've been debating since my freshman year at Washburn High School. I got involved. I went into high school knowing I wanted to be on the debate team, but I didn't really know what that entailed. I have made some of, pretty much all of my best friends through debate, and most of them go to other schools. It's just a great way to meet kids all across Minneapolis and St. Paul that you otherwise wouldn't have been connected with. Also, it's made reading critically for my classes in school and writing essays so much easier because that's the kind of work I'm doing for debate, right? So school just becomes an easier version of it. Yeah, it's a great activity.
Hello, my name is Shamar. I'm just saying that again. Last year was my first year doing debate, so I've been doing debate for around 2 years now. And I would say the main reason why I joined debate last year was because the debate coach came in 2 years ago, my freshman year, and was recruiting people. And I was like, was one reason why I should join debate. And I remember specifically he said, if you want to join debate, if you want to beat your parents in an argument, join debate. And that got me in it instantly because I never beat my dad in an argument. So I joined debate, and lo and behold, after 1 year of being in debate, I finally beat my parents in an argument. It's to the point where, they just tell me be quiet because I'm talking too much. But, I mean, at least I'm winning, right? But overall, debate has really helped me to start thinking critically about many different things because overall, that's what debate is, thinking critically about your evidence that you're presented with and also what your opponents are saying. So I realized within school has become way more easier for me because I'm thinking more critically about different subject areas. I'm not thinking inside the box. I'm thinking outside the box now. And now my grades have improved. I have made so many more connections because now I made friends, so not only within Minneapolis, but within St. Paul, Highland, and other cities as well. So overall, debate has been such a great program for me. It's amazing.
Is this on? Okay. I first started debate in 8th grade at my middle school, Capitol Hill, and I joined debate mostly because I just loved the eloquence that I'd hear in really good debate rounds, and even just my idea of debate that I've seen on TV during the presidential elections. I just always admired the eloquence that debaters would have when they presented their arguments. So I joined debate, and I've really enjoyed it. I made a lot of new friends, and just like Ellen and Shamar said, it's really helped me out with school because I now know a lot more details that can help me when I'm writing those really bad essays for geography. And I know all these critical arguments and ways of thinking, and it's just so much easier for me to highlight the stuff that I need and get it across in school.
Hello. So I've been doing debate since junior high. I started in 8th grade. Heather Riddle was one of our coaches back then. So I've been doing debate since 8th grade. I'm going to Augsburg next year. Woohoo. So I joined debate in 8th grade. First of all, because they said we have pizza. So, best way to attract an 8th grader is to tell them, they got pizza. But I stayed for the rest of, so I decided to stick around because debate really offered a new activity, a place where there was a sense of community, right? There's a lot of friends that you make, and people are quick to help you and help you learn. And I think even for debate coaches, what they want to see is their kids learning. And so I think that's one of the unique reasons why debate's such a great academic activity. Like they said, I think, beating a dead horse here, debate helps with school, with grades. My grades have definitely improved since I started doing debate. Helps me think clearly, and I'm pretty quick on my feet, I guess, because of debate. And debate has helped me find a good circle of friends. A lot of my friends are debaters, and yeah, anytime I talk about debate, my friends are always telling me to shut up about it. Yeah.
Thank you. So thank you, everyone, for being here this morning. We really appreciate you joining us. With that, I want to turn it over to our judges for their reflections on the debate and the students and their comments. We'll start with Mayor Coleman. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. As I was scoring, I feel like I have to go back because, is it Yasin? Was so honest in his answer why he joined debate was because of pizza. That is a really good reason to join debate. And it's why most people join everything. Any kind of a social network, it's like food, and it's great. First of all, congratulations to all of the students. I'm so inspired when I come over and see such incredibly articulate and wonderfully smart future of our cities. It's always a thrill. And I do love debate and activities like this because one of the focus that I have is how things that aren't, sitting and doing drills in math class or, doing exercises in reading or whatever, how that social emotional development is so critical to the other, all the things that we need to be successful. And so the ability to confidently articulate a position, to argue with your parents, I would suggest, tamp that down a little bit. For a little while, but the fact of the matter is, if you can go up, I just even think about it in the context of one of the things I've always tried to teach my kids: if they were unhappy with a grade that they got in their school, go up and talk with the teacher, but having the confidence to be able to go up and articulate why you think you deserve a different grade or whatever. That's a difficult thing to do, and so. It is how it serves us in so many different capacities that I'm inspired by that. I think you all did really well. I think that I have my colleague across the river is an actual debater from high school, and so I feel woefully inadequate to actually assess a debate because she knows the lingo, and I'm like, was that something I was supposed to be paying attention to? But I would say that it was very, very close, and I think that it's very clear that you're all well prepared. You know your facts. I saw a couple of your notes on top of your handwritten notes to slow down or to look out or do all those things. I love that because I do that same thing when I'm speaking. It's like, stop here and just wait for a second, because then maybe they'll clap for you if you. But the fact of the matter is, you all did well, and we had a split vote up here. So I'll turn it over to my colleague across the river, and then Commissioner Rothman will ultimately have to be the one to break the news.
So I joined debate in high school in part because I had an older brother who lives to argue. This is true, and he is very conservative. I am not. We stopped arguing in my 20s because I realized I could either argue with him or be close to him, but I could not do both. But it did spur, but it may be that I like to debate and argue myself. But yes, I was a high school debater. The old impulse to do it that way came back, even though I was informed I did not have to flow today. But you guys were speaking so slowly, it was hard for me to understand you. And I should say that, Haley, you may or may not have met my brother, but there's someone who is also a Wayzata High School debater here in the room, who is also the daughter of my brother's high school girlfriend. So she knows, you just ask your mom about my brother and why I wanted to argue with him. So I really appreciate the great job that you guys all did today. I know what it takes to prepare the argument, and you have to be prepared for both sides. I know what it is to have to get up there, listen to what somebody else is saying, reply to that. I still do it as part of my job. This skill will serve you your entire life. I get to do it a little more slowly and often in the newspaper, but it is still useful to be able to do. Your thoughtfulness about the issue itself, I think, was really helpful to me. I actually learned a lot today about what the sides are of the debate about Nafta, a little more depth on what the arguments are on both sides and some of the facts on either side. appreciated the diligence with which you brought your thinking and your critical skills to bear on the issue. We're going to let our friend, it was a split decision, you might imagine, and we're going to let our friend here announce the winner, but I look forward to seeing what you guys do in the future. I am very curious to see what you're doing 10 and 20 years from now. So I'll give you my card at the end, and I expect annual updates for the rest of your lives. So.
Well, for me, debate is absolutely one of the greatest things you can do in life. I started debate like you did it was probably it was ninth grade in Chaska. I grew up, we lived in Chaska, but I had grown up in Minneapolis and knew the difference between urban schools and suburban schools and the differences that the opportunities each has. And then I debated during the debate. It was 1976 to 1980. Some of my colleagues are here. We debated against each other, and the debate was such a huge program, and it was an opportunity for kids throughout the state to learn, to supplement their high school education. And for me, I really believe that it made the difference. I was then recruited to a wonderful school because I participated in debate. I truly believe that the argumentation skills, the evidence development, the synthesis that you learn, the critical thinking you guys all talked about are essential skills that it's a very rare opportunity to get other than in debate. And with that, when I, back in 2002, 2003, was approached to try to help found the Urban Debate League, bless you, it was, in a way, something that brought it home to me. And at that time, and many of you know, the debate programs in the urban area had been devastated, and largely because of school funding and all that. So it's with your support, it's with the program support, the school support, everybody coming together that, if you can see, I think when we started there might have been 2 or 3 tables worth of people. Look at today. Greg, this is a phenomenal program. I think that everybody on the board should be commended for what they're doing for kids, and in particular for the urban environment. So with that, let me turn to the result. We did have a very rough time. It was very close. As you could tell, the students up here were phenomenal in their speaking ability, the evidence they presented. Let me comment on a few of you. Yasim, you did a really strong job. You had a lot of knowledge, and I love the fact that you put in the good humor to lighten things up. It was really terrific. And then Michelle as well, very solid knowledge of the facts and everything that you presented, good oratorical skills. And then on Shamar, I think you did a wonderful job as well. It was a terrific presentation in the cross-examination. You two also had a very good humor in your speech, and as well, Ellen, good grasp of the knowledge of the topic, and for all of you, just a phenomenal success in debating each of the issues. I do have to be a tiebreaker, and so let me just do it this way. I think it was so close. It would depend on which way we go. I'm sorry. But for this year, Minneapolis won. So congratulations. It's hard to announce one or the other because I'm going to get hit from one side. But.
Well, thank you very much. I first want to make sure that we thank our distinguished judges. Now, to answer one of the questions that you raised about debate kids being cool, I'll tell you, because 2 of my sons were debaters, and Molly Coleman, the mayor's daughter, was hanging out with my son Steve all the time, as well as in high school and college, and clearly he comes from a cool family. So the coolness question, I think, is answered. So there's your rebuttal on that. Commissioner Rothman and I actually went to debate camp together, and President Pribino, as you know, here at Augsburg now we have a summer debate camp. That's where the coolest kids gather, right, Mike? You'll recall that. And he was, by the way, a phenomenal Minnesota high school debater. And Mayor Hodges, I supported you when you were running, and now I know why. That sort of little instinct to support a debater, and clearly someone knows how to flow properly, indicated that. But I want to make sure we thank all of our judges for their help today. And it's and most important that we focus on our students. First of all, I have to say our students are styling a lot better than I did when I was in debate, wearing a three-piece polyester suit with lapels out to about here. Much more stylish and certainly critical and argumentative in a positive way. I think most of us are here because we know that debate makes a difference in students' lives. For myself, growing up in a single-parent family down in Worthington, Minnesota, and as a ninth grader doing pretty poorly in school, it was really debate that provided me with a family and friends and supportive teachers and an ability to engage in academics. And the research, as most of you know, is absolutely clear. When young people find an activity that they like and can find success at, they do better, and debate is a crucial part of that. And it's also important in a society where increasingly politics and public policy operates in a fact-free environment. Let's face it, we do much better here in Minnesota in general, but we go to Washington, D.C., and we see political and policy leaders who seem to think that facts don't matter or that science doesn't matter. And it's important that we have young people who come up who recognize the importance of proper research, proper argumentation, qualification, and respect. The respect for the fact that we believe in listening to both sides and that each side has something to offer, and at the end of the day, it's when we come together that we grow as a society. And that's why the Urban Debate League is so important. The reality is that debate in inner cities has always struggled. And when Mike and I were in debate, we had very few Minneapolis and St. Paul public schools that were debating at all. And most of those programs completely collapsed during the 80s and 90s. And we're very fortunate that many of you came together and decided to make a commitment to debate and a commitment to the future of these young people. On your table, there's a card. That card gives you an opportunity to put some facts together of your name, your address, and a commitment to the funding of this program. The Regents of Augsburg College, of which I'm privileged to be one, made a commitment that we wanted to support the Urban Debate League program with our institutional abilities and our personal abilities, and your contributions 100% go to support debate, not the overhead. Augsburg College takes care of that. So your contribution is very efficient and is going directly to help students like these. And I would urge you to take the time right now to fill that out and make sure that you leave it so that you can make a contribution. For those of you who are already making contributions, you have the satisfaction of knowing how well that's working. And I've personally made that contribution now for years, and I'm continuing to sustain that. And I want you to know that just because there's a room full of people here that are a part of it, we need your ongoing support to make sure that these things work. We can't let this go. The reality is we have so many students like these that if we could just reach out to them, they would have even greater opportunities to go on to great colleges and universities like Augsburg, or that place across the road where I went to law school, and to also make a huge difference, to become future mayors, U.S. senators, political leaders, and yes, even presidents. So I want to thank all of you for coming. I want to thank our debaters, and let's thank our debaters one more time for the great job that they're doing. And I want you to know we consider all of you to be winners. And Mayor Hodges makes a great point when she said she wants your card. The reality is debaters look out for one another. And so as you go forward and as the other students in the audience are here, know that those of us in public policy and in politics and in law and medicine and so many other careers, that when we find out that you're part of the fraternity of debate, that's a group that looks out for one another because we know that you know some of the keys to success in doing well in society. So on behalf of Augsburg, I want to thank you all for attending. Please make sure that you fill out your card. Thanks for taking the time to be here. God bless and have a great day.